Good morning, my friends. Welcome to today's training. It's Blunt Cake episode number 4. Respect their adulthood and respect your adulthood. So that's what we're going to be jumping in today. If you're new to me, I'm Burtcher, and I help codependents rediscover their well-being and happiness after the trauma bond, after narcissistic abuse, after codependency, by helping them heal the trauma bond, by helping them come to know, love, and live who they are, and create happy relationships that are sustainable, that are fun, that are playful, that are actually nurturing, that you want to be in, that you enjoy. So that's what I do. Been doing this for almost 13 years now, and as a recovered codependent myself, I know the journey, I know the challenge, I know what we face as we go up our own individual mountains, and that's why I do what I do, because, well, I didn't have this in my own journey. I had to figure out a lot of it on my own, because people didn't understand codependency. And now we have a better understanding of it, and we have an understanding of trauma and the freeze, fight, flight, and fawn responses, and ways of regulating them, and all that stuff. So yeah, if you're new to me, welcome. I'm excited to have you here. Before we get started, I need to share this out to the community. The community is where you find guidance, support, and safety in your journey beyond codependency, and also in a support in maintaining your freedom beyond codependency, because ultimately the opposite of codependency is respect, self-respect, and the community will help reinforce that self-respect and grow you in your world and your happiness. I'm going to get that shared out right now. The link is above on Facebook, below on YouTube, and if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and also like and share it. Share this video to people whom you think will gain from it. And I appreciate your guys' support, and that goes, miles for me. It's a really empowering and exciting thing that way. Let me know that you're here in the comments. Let me know how you're doing. I've got a thing that's poking me. Okay. So today's topic, Blunt Cake number 4. Respect their adulthood and respect yours. So in codependency, we have been conditioned to take responsibility for things that someone else can actually do for themselves. We kind of insert ourselves into other people's problems. We take responsibility and control of their outcomes. We do this because we don't have what's called boundaried empathy. Boundaried empathy is this idea that I can feel empathy and care and compassion for the pain or struggle someone is having without getting involved in creating the solution for them. Instead, I can step back, I can ask some questions, I can hold space with them, I can be present with them and console with them, grieve with them, mourn with them, be with them as they face their challenge. But I don't create the solution, I don't make the choices. I can identify options like, hey, you could go here, or maybe it's time for a therapist, or maybe it's this, or maybe it's that. But then they take the action. They do the work. This is essential. It's essential for our well-being, first of all, because now we're not taking the role of parent in another adult's life, number one. Number two, we're allowing them to choose and execute their power in a way that benefits them. This is how people learn they learn a lot of self-reliance and a self-confidence in being able to take action and start exploring things that can help them solve the challenges that they're facing. And if we get involved in that process and interfere with it, it leaves them feeling helpless, and it leaves us feeling burdened and overwhelmed and fixated on something that is not intrinsically our responsibility. It is theirs. This can be really challenging to accept. It can be challenging to connect with, to acknowledge, because it's very uncomfortable not to help people that are in pain. It's also very uncomfortable to say no to helping people in their pain, because sometimes people want us to solve their problems for them, and that's not appropriate. That robs them of their confidence. It robs them of their wisdom, their lessons, their growth. and it traps us in a cycle of becoming their parent, especially if we're dealing with an intimate relationship here. We're not here to be their parent. We're here to be other roles in their world, maybe a friend, lover, companion, but not parent. And so when someone is struggling with something, and they're facing this facing something in their world, we can offer options. Then we step back and we respect their adulthood. We respect their ability to make choices, take actions, and live with the consequences. This empowers us to become mature ourselves, because what it does is it forces us to slow down and look at our choices and our actions and connect with the consequences we're choosing in that regard. In other words, we're no longer externally oriented or fixed on them. We're fixed on ourselves. We're internally oriented. We're starting to make choices and take actions that really matter to us in our worlds. Hi, Pam. Pam says, I am trying to learn exactly that. That's the other person's responsibility for doing their work while I'm responsible for mine. Yeah, it is hard to learn, because codependency, one of the ways we feel valuable, one of the ways we feel connection, one of the ways we feel loved, valued, and seen in a relationship is in the fixie role. It's in getting into their business and doing something that makes them feel good, because then we get to feel good. And what's really going on there is we're regulating our sense of value, our sense of pleasure, our sense of positive feeling towards ourselves through their response to our fixing or enabling behaviors. We need to take responsibility for that back, because our value, our sense of worth is our responsibility and no one else's, and it's up to us to cultivate that and nurture it. And if this is something that you're going like, well, how on earth do I do that, Marshall? Well, this is what the Heal Yourself strategy helps you start to do by restoring your sanity, your safety, and yourself. Because it's a practice of coming into loving ourselves. Loving ourselves is a practice of self-respect, self-discipline, and self-belief. And it's a choice that we make, and then open up to experiences that help us discover that we're really quite powerful. 2, we're quite capable. And 3, we don't need to earn love anymore. Love can be present for us right now, from ourselves to ourselves, and from others to us, and us to them, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, when we're not fixing, we're not feeling connected. That's a worthy challenge, because that gets us out of a codependent habit of fixing, and that gets us into a better means of creating connection through companionship, intimacy, play, and what's called healthy support. So healthy support is basically 4 principles, and a lot of acronym that spells help. First one is to honor boundaries. You honor your boundaries, you honor theirs. You honor their adulthood, you honor your adulthood. You honor their power, you honor your power, you honor their consequences they're choosing, and you honor the consequences you are choosing. And then E is for empathize. Hey, I know this really sucks. This is hard. I'm here with you. Let's see what you choose to do and what you discover in your adventure here. And then L is to locate and point them towards, or to legitimize and empower them that way. It's to give them, to point them back to their power, back to their responsibility in what they're doing, and to encourage their own self-reliance. And P is for professionals, to direct them to professionals that can address the thing they're struggling with. Because when you're not their therapist, you're not their counselor, you're not their accountant, things like that. It's really important to know our lane, because that's part of self-respect. It's part of understanding that I'm not qualified or trained in this. I'm going to direct them to someone who is, and I'm going to allow that, and allow them to do what they do with it. I'm going to stay in my lane, my yard, and focus on what my well-being and my happiness require today. This is fundamental respect of adulthood. This is respect of their autonomy. This is respect of their power. And it's a respect of your power and your autonomy. And it motivates you to see your own world differently and choose what really matters to you. It also respects your capacities, because now you don't have to give empathy. You're not compelled into it. You can step back and say, hey, I see you're struggling. I'm here to support you. Let me know what you choose to do, and we'll see what happens for you there. We're no longer carrying the burden of their emotions. Instead, we're facing our own path and our own growth there. And ultimately, this helps us become more individuated from them, and so that we can create more true connection through companionship, intimacy, healthy support, and play, rather than being absorbed in fixing them, regulating their emotions, and doing things for them that they ought to be doing for themselves. The other thing this does for us, which is really cool, is when someone has a reaction, someone does something in reaction to us, we don't have to figure it out anymore. They're an adult. They can present it to us. They can say, hey, I felt this way about this thing. Can we talk about it? And if they don't bring it to you, you don't have to regulate it. Because in healthy relationships, the other person isn't sitting there going, well, what did I do? I've got to figure this out. I've got to fix this. The other person's going, I wonder what they'll do with that. Looks like, something happened for them there. And they can ask. Sometimes I ask. I'm like, hey, what's going on for you? It looks like something's up. And then they'll share or they won't. But I'm not fixing it for them. I'm not diagnosing it for them. I'm not analyzing it for them. I'm simply asking to see what's going on. And then they make their choices and they do their things. This liberates us from being obsessed about them, from being hypervigilant around their behaviors. Because it's like, oh, well, that's what you chose. Okay, cool. So they have some sort of reaction towards something you guys are doing. Cool. And if they don't want to talk about it, cool. Because they're an adult. And I respect that, the right that they have to not talk about what they don't want to talk about. This sets me free from being hypervigilant, because I don't have to deal with it anymore. It's done. Now, if they come to me and they try to do something to me or punish me for that approach, I'll be like, hey, you chose this. This was your behavior. I do not appreciate being treated this way. These are your things to manage. These are things you need to grow through. And I'm here to listen, but I'm not here to be held accountable for your things. I'm not here to be punished for your behaviors. So kind of treat it like a 3-year-old that way, in that respect. Hey, Sarah, how are you? Ooh, Gabriola Island. Where is that? Sounds exotic and warm in the ocean. So fundamentally, my friends, when we respect the adulthood in another individual, we respect the adulthood in ourselves, and it becomes a self-reinforcing loop. I'm an adult. I manage my own emotions. I manage my responsibilities. I deal with the consequences of my choices, and I stay out of other people's ways there too. It's like, oh, they made that choice. Let's see what they do. Boom, 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 over and over and over and over and over, because I respect their adulthood. That's it. Their problems, their challenges, their desires, their wants, their feelings, all that are theirs to manage. And I get out of the way of it. I don't even let it, because I have no authority there. It's just I respect that, and I see what happens. This is utterly a foundation of maturity, because now we can see what people choose to do, and we can see who aligns with us and doesn't, and we're free of codependency at that point, because we're not enmeshed in them, we're not regulating them, we're asking questions, they're asking questions, things are built on consent. It's a much easier way to live that way. So respect the adulthood of yourself and the other person, and you will find freedom very quickly from codependency. Yeah, the hypervigilance is extremely draining, absolutely. And that's one big signal. Your body's like, this isn't my yard, this isn't what I need to be dealing with. See, when things are draining to the body, when they're harmful to us or they're affecting us in a really depleting way, their body's signaling us that this isn't good for us, that this isn't in alignment for us. And we need to look at what's going on here and confront it. So thank you, my friends, for showing up for this episode of Blunt Cake. If you're struggling with codependency and you want that freedom from it, you want to know yourself, you want more safety, you want more sanity, you want to be reconnected back to who you are, then join the Heal Yourself strategy. The link is above on Facebook, below on YouTube. And man, we'll get you down that road real quick, because we've got the 22 modules that guide you through restoring all 3 of those things, as well as lifetime life support. support through what's called live mentoring hours. It happens on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I got your back in that. Thank you guys for showing up again today. Remember that you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping. And I will see you guys in our next episode.